Here we are again with a painting. Let me push you back a little bit. So here's the painting, and she doesn't have a title yet. It's kind of like a mermaid lady. She's well on her way toward completion, but I guess there's still a lot to be done for her. I just hadn't spoken to you about her. I hadn't spoken to you about her as I was creating it. I wasn't really sure how it was coming out. I wanted to do a figure. I generally do figures that are smaller, part of the environment. It doesn't tend to be the focus. But I do want to be doing some where it is the focus. And this is quite a large painting. As you can see, relationship to me, that's how big she is. She's a good size. And she's very pink and fleshy. And until I had gotten some of this other surface material onto there, she was quite fleshy. I wanted to make her emerging from this material. I could see it in my head. I could see that she was pink, and I could see that the material is kind of bluish, and so when I started, our whole world continued its eruption, and I was feeling awful about it, and feeling some pain and trying to paint a happy picture, and it was just hard. So I thought, I'll put some pain in this painting, because I was feeling like I needed to share a little bit of how I felt. And so it's there. I paint pretty pictures, so I don't have to declare my pain. She isn't declaring her pain either, but it's there, and it's really actually a physical thing that I put in. I removed her breast. She had 2 breasts, and I was like, I need to express some of the heartache that's happening. And while it's not like a political statement per se, it's really just about how we deal with our pain and how we hide it, mask it, live with it, embrace it, and continue on. So she has had a mastectomy. This curve that I put in here, this blue curve here, I think actually needs to have this edge of it, the shape of it, changed, so that it doesn't look like there's another breast kind of hanging over the top there. So I do need to work on that, change that a little bit, because we've got this one here. But she's got a scar in there. And, but she doesn't live in her pain. She's living a joyful life, and, hanging out like a mermaid. But, so anyway, and so she has some modesty about her way, and that's what this surface is about. So her modesty is going to happen with some really beautiful materials. This is going to be similar. It's a similar idea to the bug that I invented a few paintings back, and her wings were kind of see-through and a little bit sparkly. So that's what's going to happen here. The edge, it's almost like the edge of the ripple comes out in this other material. So that's going to give it a kind of a surreal sort of a look to it. And we've got the composition. These are very important in leading your eye into the composition. So these things bring in, and then they stopped right here. And I'm like, well, it's, you know, her head, she's pretty, and this is kind of a focal area. But also I started adding in these little bubbles, or bubble shapes, whatever you want to call them, to continue the tones that were coming up here. So I'll probably add a few more of those in here, and I'm going to put something in her hand. It might be a bubble, it might be a special bubble, so that she's giving you something. The painting needs to get its surface and depth defined at this point. That's the part that I'm working on now. For instance, right in here, this is very flat looking, but really, if this was water, this would be a glassy surface, and her body is in there. Like when you see water, it's deep, but you do see a surface, and you can see down inside of it. So this shape here lays on the surface, but you can see down into here. I don't know if the camera was in the right place for that, but let's see, it's happening here too. So this sits on the surface, but these are down below. So I need to work on that. I'm going to be developing that area. I'm going to be developing the material here. I'm going to be adding in some of those bubbles. Her features have been such a delight. When I first started painting her, her eyes were like this, you know, just like you could just see the background, and it was like these cavernous holes, and I'm like, oh, how am I going to put those in? And I didn't think about it too much at all. I really just laid in some brush strokes. You know, I mean, that'll come with some practice, because you certainly have to know what an eye looks like to know where you want to lay in your light strokes. So basically I worked with the pinks. It's a combination of titanium white and cadmium red deep, and just a pink, what did they call it, portrait pink, which was a tube of paint I saw, and I thought, oh, that'll come in handy, and it did. So those three colors come together to make her very fleshy pink body. And when I was building the structure of her face, I just worked in light, medium, and dark, with like highlights and darks and highlights, and you know, medium areas, that sort of thing. So that's how I built it up, was just kind of really paying attention to how the surface area evolves according to the value of color, light, medium, and dark. And so that's her, and I'm going to bring the camera in and give you some close-up details so you can see what's going on, probably mostly in the face area, because I really like how that's coming out. So let's try that. We'll just move you over there slowly. See? It's really just lights and darks and medium tones, describing the under of her arm. It's a medium tone. The breast is a light tone. The other breast, which is sunken, is a deeper tone. So this is a very, very different painting for me. And it's got a little ways to go, and I'm glad that I changed my mind and decided to show you some of it before it got done. So check out some of my other videos, and I hope that you have enjoyed this. Thanks. Have a groovy day.